I'm 7 News meteorologist Steve Rudin, and we have a very active several days on the way across the Mid-Atlantic and, for that matter, up and down the East Coast. Let's first talk about the potential for an East Coast storm that may stay well offshore, depending on which forecast trend you look at. As of this recording here, we're going to give you the latest information that we have, and it could either bring us quite a bit of snow for parts of the DMV or hardly anything at all. But let's talk about this bomb cyclone. You're likely to hear about this over the coming days. It's an area of low pressure that's going to likely develop off the East Coast and then travel off toward the north and east. You see these pressure gradients right here. Those are very, very strong winds. This area of low pressure, as we move into the weekend, will likely intensify very, very quickly. We'll see the pressure drop quickly. This is also most common with nor'easters and blizzards, depending on snow and visibility and wind. And it has a nickname. It's called bombogenesis. You might hear a lot about that more and more as you move into Saturday and Sunday as this storm begins to develop. If the low's track is perfect, it can produce major snowstorms across the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. But the million-dollar question: where will this set up? Will it be far enough out to sea to have hardly any impact on the East Coast, or closer inland that will be substantial snows for at least parts of the Mid-Atlantic and up the northern seaboard? Here's a look at our futurecast. This right here is the European model. We'll start this at 9 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, and this is the less aggressive model. D.C. right here, totally dry. 8 o'clock Saturday night, still totally dry with snow across parts of North Carolina and the Outer Banks. But notice how this forecast trend has it well off the coastline and zipping on off toward the north and east, leaving New York and Philadelphia and D.C. mainly with hardly any snow at all. And then it's quieter after that. So how much snow are we talking about using the European model? Hardly anything at all moving into very early Saturday morning. But look what happens moving into Saturday night across North and South Carolina. Charlotte could be looking at accumulating snow upwards of 2 to 4 inches. And then the Outer Banks of North Carolina with more substantial snows. Now keep in mind, one forecast trend, the European model, less aggressive but often more accurate in terms of our winter weather makers. We'll watch this closely for you over the coming days. Now here's the GFS, also known as the American model. Sometimes not as reliable when it comes to the winter storms on the eye of the beholder, but this one is much more aggressive in terms of its snowfall potential. Here's 9 a.m. Saturday morning, and notice as we move through the evening on Saturday, snow, at least according to this trend here, begins to pick up, especially across southeastern Virginia and North Carolina, as that core of this weather maker hugs the coastline a little bit closer, drawing in all that moisture with that cold air moving in from the north. Notice what happens by 9 o'clock on Sunday. It does have very heavy snow for Norfolk and the Outer Banks, and then it lifts on off toward the north and east, with Boston getting in on the action with perhaps blizzard conditions. Of course, that's using this forecast trend. Now, these snow totals, I just want to brace you on this. They're a little wild when you see them. And this is moving through the day on Saturday, 8 o'clock in the morning, hardly anything at all. But then as we move through Saturday evening and Saturday night, look how these snowfall totals really begin to explode for Norfolk and the Outer Banks. Once again, I need to stress, this is one forecast trend. It's not a guarantee. It's just a tool that we use to give us a better idea what we can expect. And right here it has, my goodness, upwards of 24 inches. I don't think that's going to happen, but it's fun to look at, and I know there's a lot of conversation online about this, but then it all moves on off, and it could very well bring Boston, if you go with this forecast trend, upwards of maybe a foot or more of snow. So here are our latest trends for you, at least for the D.C. metro area, depending on which model you look at. The American, known as the GFS, around 4 inches. The European, maybe a dusting to a ½ inch. This is going to change a lot over the coming days. This right here is a blended model that has the highest amount from the National Weather Service. But once again, we'll watch it closely. And the bigger story from now until the weekend, it's going to be the very cold temperatures. Should note also also that with this nor'easter or this coastal storm, it does have the potential to bring very strong winds to the mid-Atlantic moving into the day on Sunday with wind gusts upwards of 40 to 50 miles per hour. At that point, we very well could be looking at parts of the East Coast with some wind advisories. So here's the cold surge that we've been talking about with another reinforcing shot of very cold air that's on the way moving into Thursday and Friday. Those will be the coldest wind chill factors, and then we'll see the cold air begin to retreat as we move into next week. Finally, next week, we have temperatures that are going to be above freezing, and that's going to help the melting process, especially for the not so much traveled side streets that have been neglected or hard to plow because everything is frozen over the last couple of days. Here's our temperature trend, and it's not very good in terms of getting above freezing, at least not until Monday. We're going to be around 25 on Thursday, around 26 on Friday, with those wind chill factors that are going to be even colder. Mid-20s on Saturday, and then there's a chance, need to stress, chance for some snow on Sunday. So here's the cold weather alerts for you overnight. It does include the D.C. metro area, all of Delmarva into Pennsylvania. These are cold weather advisories with extreme cold warnings over toward Columbus and the mountains off toward the west of us, over toward Grant County, with wind chill factors come Wednesday morning that will be anywhere from 0 to 10 degrees below zero. Here are our Wednesday morning wind chills, feeling like around 1 in La Plata, 3 in Colonial Beach for the northern neck, below zero off toward the south and west of us, and then moving to the west anywhere between about 5 to 10 degrees below zero. In D.C. metro area, Arlington, the district, Alexandria, wake up wind chill factors only at around zero. So our wind chill forecast Wednesday in the teens. Thursday will be a little bit colder. You probably won't notice much of a difference between a wind chill factor of 15 or 18, but you're definitely going to have to bundle up. Our almanac page shows a daytime high on Tuesday of 30 degrees at Reagan National Airport. Normal is 45. That's 15 degrees below average for this time of year. The month of January, we've definitely had our ups and we've had our downs. We had a mild streak the beginning and middle of the month, and now as we move into the end of the month, the final days of January will definitely be colder than average. Here's our 10-day temperature trend. There's hope on the way, even though we'll be in the 20s as we head into Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We'll start to warm things up by Monday of next week, around 35 degrees, and then we stay above freezing at least during the afternoon come Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and that will help aid in the melting process. We've talked a lot about potential for wintry weather, bombogenesis, that bomb cyclone off the coastline this weekend. We'll keep you updated as always at WJLA.com and on 7 News. I'm 7 News meteorologist Steve Rudin. Have a good night.